Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Pracharine Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Paschacharya Satarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Pracharine Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Paschacharya Satarine Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aarati Krshna Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aarati Krshna Janani Tata Jagamana Lobha Janani Tata Jagamana Lobha Madhava Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Gaura Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Radha Radha Daine. Radha Radha Daine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatankana Kalaye. Shilatankana Kalaye. Ito Nashimo Parato Nashimo. Ito Nashimo Parato Nashimo. Yato Yato Yami Tato Nashimo. Yato Yato Yami Tato Nashimo. Hare Nashimo, Hridaye Nashimo. Hare Nashimo, Hridaye Nashimo. Hare Nashimo, Hridaye Nashimo. Hare Nashimo, Hridaye Nashimo. Narasimha Vim Sharanam Prapade. Narasimha Vim Sharanam Prapade. Narasimha Vim Sharanam Prapade. Narasimha Vim Sharanam Prapade. Avakara Kamala Varena Kamanuta Shinga. Darita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhenga. Keshavalita Narahari Rupa Jayagadisha Hare. Jayagadisha Hare. Jayagadisha Hare. Avakara Kamala Varena Kamanuta Shinga. Darita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhenga. Keshavalita Narahari Rupa Jayagadisha Hare. Jayagadisha Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jayagadisha Hare. Jayagadisha Hare. Jayagadisha Hare. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jayagadisha Hare. Jayagadisha Hare. Jayagadisha Hare. Jaya Narasimha 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 Jaya Narasimha Jaya Narasimha
Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome. My name is Krshna Dulal Das, and you are at the residence of our beloved Sri Gaura Nitai Ki.
Jaya.
Is anybody here coming for the first time? Got any hands? First time? Welcome, welcome. Can anybody tell me, how'd you find out about this place? Maybe you, sir.
From the Kirtan the other day on Friday night.
Oh yeah, I think I
Yeah.
saw you. Yeah, you came attended with some friends also as well, yeah?
Yeah, with Zoom.
Oh, okay, hey, welcome. Thanks for coming. So we were just having Kirtan now again, right? So it's
Love it.
thank you very much for coming. And then the back, is your first time as well?
Yeah, actually we just came for, to Guruprasad.
Have you ever been to an ISKCON temple before?
Yeah, I'm from India, so
Yeah, there's lots of ISKCON temples there.
I live in Europe, so I used to go into Zurich.
That's awesome, yeah. Wherever you go, there's a place where you can feel like home, right? You come here, Prabhupada's here, the deities are here, Kirtan is happening, devotees are chanting, happy faces, dancing. So for those of you who are maybe new to this experience, so generally we start off with Kirtan, chanting. Hare Krishna is our predominant mantra, Maha Mantra, the great mantra. And we have somebody that was on the altar offering different paraphernalia to the Lord. What we want to do is we want to offer everything that we can, right, to Krishna. We want to become Krishna conscious, right? And how do you become conscious of something? If you really meditate on it, when you practice, you think about it, right? You contemplate on it a lot. So the devotees were offering fire, we had an incense, we had a fan, whisk, and now the next part of the program is we have some discussion. We talk about a subject matter that's from our Bhagavad Gita. Has anybody heard of the Bhagavad Gita? It's familiar? Yeah? So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll continue with more kirtan, and some prasadam will be served afterwards. And prasadam, we call it, is food that has been offered to the Lord. And so we bless the food, give it to the Lord, and then we partake to sharing it afterwards. So probably around 7 o'clock or so, before 7. We hope that you can stay. And I'd like to also acknowledge our guests online. I believe we still have Zoom guests online, do we? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya
Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari.
Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari.
Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana, Brajana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana
Yashodanandana, Brajana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Madhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Prabhupada ki jai. So, we're going to read from the Bhagavad Gita today. And thank you. Reading from chapter 10, text 9. Whatever you hear, if you hear anything that's not. We're going to try to discuss about it in a bit. Machit matkata prana uthayanta parasparam atayantaschamam nityam tusyanti cha ramanti cha. We can do the word for word. Machita, minds fully engaged in me. Mat-gata prana, lives devoted to the service of Krishna. Bodhayanta, preaching. Parasparam, among themselves. Katayanta cha, talking also. Mam, about me. Nityam, perpetually. Tusyanti, are pleased. Cha, also. Ramanti, enjoy transcendental bliss. Cha, also. Translation. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. So, just before I go into the purport, this is Lord Krishna. He's speaking to Arjuna. And Arjuna is Lord Krishna's cousin, right? So this happened, this whole saga happened on the Battle of Kurukshetra over 5,000 years ago. And Arjuna, his profession was as a fighter, as a kshatriya, as a warrior. And he was facing, some strong material pushes, material energies that were going there. And, his relatives were saying bad things about him. They actually tried to kill him and his brothers many times. And they were exiled into the forest with their mother and faced many hardships. And finally he's confronted with this battle, the Battle of Kurukshetra. And luckily he's got Krishna by his side. And he decided to, early on in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, he said, now, Krishna, I'd like to surrender to you. I'd like you to instruct me, give me instructions, tell me what to do, be my teacher. And then Lord Krishna then gives some instructions. He tells him how he should perform his duty and what his thought process should be. And I should offer everything to Krishna and whatnot. And so this verse right here, this is Lord Krishna speaking, and I'll read the translation again. He's saying, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. Purport. Pure devotees, whose characteristics are mentioned here, engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in the transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of a living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe, and out of them, there are few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies, just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as the plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits. And the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. In such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized soul in Krishna consciousness takes continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in association. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshur Mitamena Tasmashin Gurve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachlam Pangam Mangayati Girim Yat Kripatadaham Vande Shigurum Dinatananam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Niranjana Swami Tinamine Anahata Prayasane Prabhupadasya Tushtaye Sankirtan Pravityartha Ihate Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastatyada Satarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I picked this verse to talk about this verse because it's really nice to hear, what devotees do. It's nice to hear about Vaishnavas. It's very pleasing to the heart when you see saintly persons engaged in transcendental subject matter, right? In hearing, speaking, and so on and so forth. And I had a little class that I attended on my way today. I was driving from Cornwall and I was listening to this. There was a course on hermeneutics. I think Guruprasad Prabhu, you attended this course at some point? So I caught the tail end, and it was talking a little bit about the different types of discussions that are there, that take place. And here we're having a discussion that's also happening, and it's talking about Krishna, thoughts of the devotees thinking about him, discussing his pastimes, and they're getting a great satisfaction and relish from doing so. And so the type of discussions that Mother Lakshmi just sent me a Word document that actually outlines them a little bit, so I thought I'd read them, and you can tell me what you think. Let me see here. There you go. So, it says here, there are actually 4 types of discussions. Samvada, Vada, Jalpa, and Vitanda. Samvada is the discussion between the teacher and the taught, as in Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvada. Right? So discussion with the teacher and taught is happening right now with Lord Krishna and Arjuna. And the student does not question the teacher, but asks questions for better understanding or clarification. This type of discussion can occur only when the student surrenders himself completely at the feet of the teacher. Vada, so that was Samvada. Vada is the discussion between 2 equals. The purpose is to settle what is the truth. So 2 people are having a discussion, and they both want to find some kind of resolution. They want to find out what is the actual truth. Both come to the table for discussion with an open mind, and the discussion is based on some accepted pramana, like the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes there are judges to ensure, or referees to ensure the discussion proceeds along the accepted pramana. The discussion proceeds until one accepts the other argument. Often the one who wins becomes the guru of the other. Jalpa is where each member of the discussion comes to the table with preconceived notion that he is right and the other fellow is wrong. Have you ever experienced that? You had a discussion with somebody where they just came in, I'm right, you're wrong, before anything starts. Okay? The purpose of this discussion is only to convert the other fellow to his camp. There is no knowledge that takes place in these discussions. Even if one is losing with his current arguments, he only goes and comes back with more ammunition to defend himself. But those who are bystanders can learn the defect in each of the arguments. Jalpa mainly depends on negation, which is non-committal. No one is proved right, but someone is proved wrong. And it is based on effective refutation of the proponent's argument. There is no earnest effort to build positive, irrefutable proof. Being defeated is the greatest threat in this type of discussion. I can't lose. And then there's the 4th, which is Vitanda. In these discussions, one is ready to take up the other fellow's argument, which he himself does not believe in, but argues against the other fellow just to prove his opponent wrong. Sometimes the goal is to prove the opponent has no credibility. You are wrong, not because the statement itself is wrong, but it is wrong because you made that statement. Vitanda is classified as a bad or hostile argument, or even as wrangling, where one person does not allow the opponent to establish his argument at all. It is rated inferior to Jalpa. While Jalpa tries to argue for the success of its thesis by whatever means, Vitanda does not seriously attempt to put up any counter-thesis. That is because its debater has no thesis of his own to put forward. He just wants to discredit and argue against his opponent. In other words, the debater here tries to ensure his victory simply by refuting or demolishing the thesis put forward by the other side, by browbeating or misleading or ridiculing the opponent. The whole purpose of its exercise seems to be to prove the opponent wrong and incompetent, and to confuse and humiliate him. Vitanda is a ruthless debate, the major part of which is spent in denying the opponent's views, in discrediting him, or in quarreling. Vaitandika, the one who adopts Vitanda's style of argument, might at times pick up the opponent's thesis, though he himself might not believe in it, and argue in its favor, just to demonstrate that the opponent is not doing a good job. The person arguing just wants to disagree with the other, no matter what the other says. It is a way of saying, you are wrong, not because your statement by itself is wrong, but it is wrong because you said it. It tries to effectively undermine the credibility of the opponent and demonstrate to him that he is neither competent nor qualified to discuss the subtleties of the logic. Right? So those 4 types of discussion. So which one do you think is the best out of the 4 types? Do you remember what the term was? You can raise your hand. We had
Vada is better, or Samvada.
Vada, yeah, Samvada, Vada, those are the best, yeah. And which one do you think is the worst?
The last one.
Last one, which was Vitanda. Okay. And which one should we be engaging in? Like, what do you think? What's good for us to do? One, should we mix with a bit of two? Is it good to have a healthy balance of a little bit of vitanda? Just stick to Vada? Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
The second one is also based on the Shastri.
That's right. Samvada?
In equals, right?
That's right.
For the purpose of better understanding what's proper outcome of what
You're referring to Jalpa or Vada?
no, the second one, which is
Vada. That's right, yeah. Vada is.
That's also bona fide.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's discussed based on credible
Correct.
literature.
Because the goal is that they're trying to find truth. That both parties, in the discussion, are trying to come up to some kind of resolution. So now this subject matter isn't just pertinent to just spiritual discussions. This could be also, is applicable to the lawyers in the lawyer room too. The kind of discussions that they would have, right, or whoever, right? They can engage in Vada, Jalpa, or the other one, which was, what was the other one again? Vitanda, right? Vitanda. So we had a little discussion this week with our elementary kids at school. I'm teaching a class of 8 kids, and in the morning we have different discussions, and generally they're all ranging from grade 1 to grade 6. And it's a big range, 8 kids, 1 to 6. And it's starting to come close to the end of the year, right? And school is going to be finished. And some of the kids who are older, they're going to be moving on, right, to the next destination, whether it's high school or another elementary school, or now COVID's subsiding a little bit, so they may be going elsewhere due to their family circumstances and situations. And so I knew that, kind of in the background, that that's happening. And I've noticed over the last week, the behavior in the classroom was really bad. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it at first. I could see the kids, comments like, next year I'm going to go to the school, it's going to be the best school ever. It's going to be better than your school, right? Or one girl saying, I'm going to have a birthday party and you're not invited, right? But you are invited and you're invited. And I could see all this happening in the emotional exchanges, and the girl's like, oh, I can't go to your party, I really wanted to. I invited you to my party, you don't invite me to your party. And it was brutal. It was really brutal to watch. I imagine if grown-ups were talking like this to each other. I'm sure they are. I think grown-ups still do that, right? But it was really kind of unfiltered, right? You could see that. Basketball, we'd go out and play basketball, and the younger child would go to the older child, and he's trying to play and shoot, and the older child saying, you're not really that good, I'm much better, right? Look at me, look at the shots that I can do. And nobody was satisfied. Even though those discussions were taking place, the person who was the instigator was more frustrated. You could see they felt more bad. They were moving around. And the person who was instigating also was like, okay, I'm digging myself deeper now, right? I'm making more enemies. There's more animosity and those things happening. And so I decided that I was going to speak to the classroom. And I used one of the methods that Mother Lakshmi Muni used to use with her students. She would do the magic circle. Right? So what the premise of the magic circle is that you sit down and you with the class, and you ask a question. And we think about some question that's going to really kind of get them to think, hit to the heart. And my question was, how do you feel about school ending this year? How do you feel about it, right? And what's going to happen next year? And you're not allowed to speak about anybody else but yourself. You can only explain how it is that you're feeling. And so we went, around the circle, and at first, they were kind of copying each other a little bit, whatever the other one says. Yeah, it was fun at school, I had a good time, but next year it's also going to be fun and all that. And then things started to open up a little bit. One child was saying, well, I'm really going to miss this person and that person, right? And those were the 2 persons that they were really fighting, right? But it came out, they said, I'm really going to miss them because they're my friends, right? And they're going to go. And one of the kids who was listening to that, right, who was instigating, could see that this child was getting a little emotional, right? And you could see like it just hit them, right? They suddenly felt bad, you know, about all that was transpiring. Like I was telling them the whole time, just behave, come on, you know, don't do this, don't be violent, all that, but it really didn't hit. But once they sat in the circle and they could see somebody opening up a little bit about them, it just like suddenly switched. And they wouldn't for the life of them, while they were in the situation, know that, you know, this person is feeling bad or there's anything wrong or anything like that. They didn't have the ability to be able to empathize with the other person. They just were thinking, me, you know. I need to have my life figured out. I'm struggling. Things are changing for me. I have to somehow deal with change and figure out what it is that I'm going to do. And it's really interesting because every day we sit down and we say, let's work together with great energy, let our intellects be sharpened, let there be no animosity amongst us. Every day we recite, you know, at least 5 Bhagavad Gita's verses. You know, in theory, they know all of these things. They know that change is happening and they should be able to tolerate change and be able to deal with it. But then it happens, you know, it happens. They're put in a situation and now they have to practically apply it. And so anyways, at the end of the talk, I told them that, listen, there's a couple of weeks left. We're a family. You know, we've been through this for a couple of years right now. So, you know, try to really make the best and be happy for one another. Be happy. You could say, hey, you know, I'm really excited for you. You're going to a new high school. You're going to make some new friends. You know, it's going to be you know, I'm sure it might be a little stressful, nervous. It's a new scenario. And, you know, I spoke to the other students and say, oh, I'm happy for you that you get to stay, right? You're going to stay in the school, and then you're going to get to practice your verses or play your instruments and all those things. And I hope that we're going to be able to meet together, right, and do those things. And I told them also that, you know, out of all the subjects that we study, whether it's math, language, science, I said, my name is Mr. W in the classroom, by the way. I said, the things that please Mr. W the most is the relationship arts. Right, is the art of relationship, right? This is the most important thing. And you're going to need it. You're going to need it when you're older. You're going to need it in all kinds of circumstances. And you're going to need to figure out how to be able to cooperate with one another, you know, how to make the team work, somehow, team sports. That was another thing. We were playing basketball, and then one was saying, oh, you're not so good, I'm better. And then all of the, you know, the older child said, I can do it all by myself. So he took the ball, and then everybody went on the other team, and he lost really badly. And I said, I thought you can do it all by yourself. And he said, yeah, okay, but it's different, right? And he wasn't able to do it by himself in the end. But we were just trying to illustrate that you need the team members. If you play a team sport, like basketball or soccer or whatever, you can't do it by yourself. And it's not even fun to watch. You know, how many of you watch sports? You see that, you know, and you see it's just Ronaldo with the ball, right? And he forgets about his teammates, and it's just about him scoring. You know, he doesn't pass to his friends. It's not as nice, right? It's not as pleasurable, right, to see. And I'm sure it's not as nice for the team also. Okay, my job is, you know, just to be on the side, right, and just do that. I have no value. So that example came to mind, and I was thinking a little bit about also Ajitsa Prabhu. He had this discussion, we had Bhagavatam class throughout the week in the morning, and he was talking about devotional service and how many things can be devotional service. He was saying that you can just take care of your family, you can do your duty, you can go to work, whatever you do, and that's also considered devotional service. And I was thinking also about these kids. They're in the school, you know, they do a little bit of verses, right? They have some good company. You know, it's devotional service, right? Devotional service. And I thought that, you know, for me, as I was thinking about it, I was thinking the activities that I do, you know, at home, it's not so much devotional service. When I sometimes spend time with my family or I do my duty at work, it's not devotional service. You know, I'm not thinking about Krishna. And I was thinking, I'm selling myself short, because sometimes I say, well, yeah, I'm doing my duty, right? And, you know, I was just discussing with my wife today, we're at home, you know, it's devotional service because we're performing our duty with our kids. But what are our kids doing, you know? yeah, you can have your time, you can play video games for a little bit. So they play some video games and they're so distraught at the end of it. And I perform my devotional service, right, by taking care of family. Is that true care for the family with respect to Bhagavad Gita? Right? So those are the things. Are we helping them? Are we giving them access to devotional service to do those things? So, I mean, we do what we can to whatever capacity that we can. But I didn't want to sell myself short. And as I was driving to Cornwall today, I had a chance to, I picked up one of my Guru Maharaj's lectures from, it was 1998. And Maharaj was speaking a little bit, he was speaking from the Bhagavatam. It was a verse that was talking about austerity and how everybody has to perform austerity. Everybody performs austerity. You know, we do that whether for our family, our extended family or community. We do some kind of sacrifice, right, to be able to get some kind of results. And he was saying that, you know, some of the demigods in the different ages, there's different age cycles. And in some of the ages, the prescribed method was that you would have to sit for a very long time and you'd have to meditate under a tree for like 100 years or so. Animal sacrifices were also permitted. And the idea behind the animal sacrifices is you would take a cow or a horse that's aging, that's a little bit older, and you would say proper prayers. You'd have brahmanas that would do the prayers, and then a younger cow would come out of the fire sacrifice, would be rejuvenated, right? And so, but this day and age, those sacrifices are really prohibited. They're not encouraged by our teachers because we don't have that kind of qualifications, brahmanas, to be able to do that. I mean, how many people do you personally know that can make a young cow come out of a fire, right, by reciting some prayers? And so Maharaj was saying that the prescribed method of austerity or sacrifice is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is the Sankirtan movement, right? So basically devotion to Krishna, telling others about Krishna, and spreading Krishna's message to others. And as I was hearing Maharaj speak, it was like Vada, you know, it was like Samvada, right? Really talking, coming from the guru to the student. I was listening. It was so infused with such sincerity. And you could see, he wasn't talking, he wasn't saying, trying to tell us, he says, just do a little bit of service, you know, just, you know, once a day, just it's good, you know, stop by to the temple, you know, offer your pranams and do that. He's saying dedicate your whole life, every single moment, to pleasing the Lord, if you can, to Krishna. And he was speaking like really, it was from a place of wanting to give somebody something, wanting to give us some knowledge, some taste, some access. He's had some access from his spiritual master, right? Parampara. He's got this message that's given to us straight from the Vedas, from the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and he's trying to give it to us. And he's telling us, if you really want peace, if you really want satisfaction, then you need to perform devotional service. And he was speaking about this one verse that's also there, which is 6.1 from the Bhagavad Gita also, how Krishna says, thoughts of my pure devotees, no, this is that one I said, there's another one, let me pull it up. He says, 6.1, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life. And it says, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. So he's telling us, don't be attached to the fruits of your work, right? But by contrast, he's saying, be attached to offering these fruits to the Lord, right? Give it to the Lord. And then he says in the purport, there's one section, the parts of the body work for the satisfaction of the whole body. The limbs of the body do not act for self-satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of the complete whole. Similarly, the living entity who acts for satisfaction of the supreme whole and not for personal satisfaction is the perfect sannyasi, the perfect yogi. So he's just also telling us, you know, as a matter of fact, it doesn't work when the hand tries to enjoy. It can't, right? It has to go, the food has to go into the mouth, right? So our natural position is to become servants of Krishna, servants of God. that's where satisfaction comes. When we go on that process, we embark on that path of devotional service, then satisfaction is there. And again, after the talk with the kids, we had that talk in the morning, it's like nothing happened. They were like best friends suddenly, walking, talking together, what are they going to do? And they started to compliment each other a little bit, and you could see it was like nourishing. It was a nourishing atmosphere. And actually we had this talk right before we had Kirtan. So we decided to do it right before we started to go into Kirtan. And the Kirtan started to become a little more effective. Everybody was participating and singing, right, and chanting and meditating. I said, let's meditate on those concepts. Let's meditate on this, on what we are practicing. So this is the satisfaction. So we just have to understand that value, right? That there's a lot of value that's there. And we can, if we take up to the process, if we take the association of those who are discussing, these transcendental subjects, matters, Vada, then it's like the greatest welfare that you can do. We talked last week a little bit about Sanatana Goswami, and he had this touchstone, and his disciple came, and he wanted to have this valuable thing that was there, and he took the touchstone, but it was in a pile of rubbish. And he was thinking, why is he holding? He must have something more valuable, because he wanted the most valuable thing for him. And Sanatana Goswami said, okay, I'll tell you what's more valuable, but first you have to get rid of this attachment, right? He says, you have to get rid of the stone and throw it in the river. And so he got rid of it, and then Sanatana Goswami told him, the value, the true valuable thing that he has is the holy name, right? The Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And there's another thing that, other story, which it's a guru and a spiritual master, and it was also there was a valuable stone that the disciple came to the guru, and he was asking him for the most confidential knowledge, most confidential instruction, the most valuable thing. And so then he told him, okay, I'll give you the most secret confidential knowledge that you can have. And he gave him the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He told him, here it is. And so he said, thank you, thank you. And then he went out to this disciple, and he was walking around, and as he was walking around, he encountered some washerwomen. They were washing the clothes, and they were chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. They were just doing that. He saw some boys that were playing ball, right, and they were chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. They were doing that. He saw some girls that were making like cow dung patties or something. They were chanting Hare Krishna. He saw a rickshawala, and somebody who was riding the rickshaw, and as he was driving, he was chanting Hare Krishna. And I was thinking, wait a second, everybody's doing it. What are you talking about? It's the most valuable, most confidential instruction that I was giving. And so he went back to his spiritual master, and he told him this. He says, what's going on here? And without getting into like detail, like big detail, whether he told him, okay, go back to all those people, I'm going to give you a valuable gem stone. It was like really quite valuable. And he told them, and go ask them, talk to them, and see if they can tell you the value of it. And see if they can give you, what can you get from them if you give them that stone. The disciple went, and first he saw the washerwomen, and they were there. And he said, I've got this gem, do you see this? And I said, oh yeah, very nice. He said, what can you give me to it? He said, I don't know. I mean, we could use it to like beat our clothes and wash our clothes with it, right? You can do that. And he said, no, you can't do that. Give that to me, right? And then he kept walking, and then he bumped into the girls who were making the cow dung patties, and he asked them the same question. And I said, well, we can use it to like beat the cow dung patties down. We can use it as a tool. The boys said, we could use it to play ball, right? We could kick it around. And then the rickshaw person says, I could use it as a hammer, right, to do certain things. And so he went back to the guru, and he realized from that many people, can have access, right, to this value that's there, but very few really know its true value or know how to use it. And it's kind of like this with spiritual knowledge, with Krishna consciousness. There's another verse that we were learning recently with the kids. It's Manushyanam sahashvesu kashchid yatati siddhaye yatatamapi siddhanam kashchin mamveti tatvataha. And so this verse translates Bhagavad Gita. It says, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And that of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. right? So this shows you the rarity of this thing that we've been given, this opportunity to come together and work as a team. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives us some instructions. Gurus give us some instructions. They tell us how it is that we can assimilate this knowledge. And the process is we approach Guru, we inquire submissively, and then we can partake in this Vada discussions that are there. And there will be lots of happiness, and everybody could become satisfied. In the end, they don't have to try very hard. You could just see. If you go outside yourself, be a part of something greater, right, and try to help out, there's a satisfaction that's there. But if you try to connect, right, and really take up this process of devotional service. So for me, what I was taking, yes, when I have my time off or whenever I'm there and I'm quote unquote performing devotional service, I should put my heart into it somehow and try to really take it up and follow the lead of my spiritual master, who's dedicated his life, right, completely, every breath, to talking about Krishna. Just listening to that, just on the drive, it was like a shower, an ocean, extinguishing the fire of material existence. As in that verse from Shikshastaka is talking about that. And I was thinking, yes, I want this. I want this. I want to take part in this. And sure, it may be hard at first. We might have some difficulties that are there. There are disturbances that are there, even when we perform our devotional activities, but we just have to stay the course. Maharaj is also saying, stay the course, trust in the process, use your intelligence. It's there, everything is there. And work together as a team. And the cause of, I guess, such issues that, like the kids were having in the classroom and whatnot, was that maybe a bit of pride was creeping in, maybe a little bit of enviousness that was there too. A little bit of forgetfulness of Krishna. Actually, those types of discussions, that jalpa and vitanda, and generally, devotees, we forget. We become forgetful about Krishna, and we start to identify with the body, that this is me, this is mine, this is really who I am this body. And then as soon as things start to change, our body, our possessions, our place of residence, then we start to, freak out. Right? This pride creeps in. And Maharaj was saying, when he was speaking this morning, when pride is in, when it starts to enter, when we start to identify with our position, everything starts to go downhill. We can't even acknowledge, we're not even able to see devotional service, when that pride is there, or somebody else performing devotional service. I think it was it either Kolavitra Shidhar or Haridas Thakur? At some point, one of them wasn't dressed properly, and other Vaishnavas, or other people who would see him, sometimes would deride him from the poverty. Kolavitra Shidhar, yeah. Yeah, yes. And he would, sometimes he would scream, at nighttime, and because he was in ecstasy. He was completely absorbed in thinking about Krishna, completely satisfied. But people who saw this, they thought that he was just screaming because he's hungry, because look at him, he's just a beggar, he has nothing. They were not able to see those devotional qualities that are there. So, we take up in the process, try to work as a team, and then there's great satisfaction, and Krishna becomes pleased. And in connection, just one last point before I finish, I wanted to make a connection with the temple a little bit, because this is a temple where this is a place for us to be able to perform devotional service, to be able to actually get the nourishment that we need to get through the week, to become enthused, to become excited. And it's a golden opportunity. We were talking a little bit before the temple program started, how there's seva opportunities, service opportunities, there's devotees who are in the kitchen, there's beautiful, wonderful devotees that are here, and they're doing services in the morning, early in the morning, in the evening, putting the Dijas to sleep, making Govinda's prasadam, helping out doing those things. We should take this opportunity and try to take their association or perform some devotional service with them, because that's That's really what's going to make it. That's what's going to make this whole community thrive in Krishna consciousness. It's going to put it all together. And there's one letter that Mother Lakshmi Moni shared with me. It was written, adapted from a Christian monk. And it talks a little bit about the situation with the churches, right, and the big temples and whatnot. It says, it seems that many great things in history start with a single human being. If a person says something full of life that names reality well, the message often moves to the second stage of becoming a movement. That's the period of greatest energy. The church is at its greatest vitality as the Jesus movement, and the institution is merely the vehicle for that movement. The movement stage is always very exciting, creative, and also risky. It's risky because God's movement in history is larger than any denomination, any culture, or any tradition ability to verbalize it. We feel out of control in this stage, and yet why would anybody want it to be anything less? It's exciting. Would we respect and love a God that we could control? I don't think so. Yet we move rather quickly out and beyond the risky movement stage to the machine stage. This is predictable and understandable. The institutional or machine stage of a movement will necessarily be a less alive manifestation. This is not bad, although it is always surprising for those who see church as an end in itself, instead of merely a vehicle for the original version. We need the less noble, quote, parts of the body to keep us all growing towards love. There is no other way, but when we don't realize a machine's limited capacity, we try to make it into something more than it is. We make it into a monument, a closed system operating inside of its own, often self-serving, logic. By then, it's very hard to take risks for God or for gospel values. Eventually, this monument and its maintenance and self-preservation becomes ends in themselves. It is easy just to step on board and worship at a monument without ever knowing why or longing for God ourselves. At this point, we have jumped over the human and movement stages and have become what authors Mark Gibbs and T. Ralph Morton called God's frozen people. There is no hint of knowing that we are beloved by God and invited to their inner journey. In this state, religion is merely an excuse to remain unconscious, holding on to a memory of something that must once have been a great adventure. Now religion is no longer life itself, but actually a substitute for life, or worse, an avoidance of life. The secret is to know how to keep in touch with the human and movement stages without being naive about the necessities of some machines and the inevitability of those who love monuments. We must also be honest. All of us love monuments when they are monuments to our human or movement or our machine, right? It's something, right? So we have to be careful, right? We don't want the temple to just become a museum, do we? You know, and lose all the life components, all the exciting movement phases that were there. Lose sight of what the true value is. And so that's one thought. Maybe at this point we can share if there's some comments or questions or additions, corrections. Online, if there's devotees that want to say something that you appreciated from a verse. Yes.
One very important thing.
It's your microphone. Hold on.
One very important thing in the translation, in the purport which Prabhupada has mentioned throughout Gita is that he never says Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He takes a pain and writes the full mantra, which I have noticed most of the time. I think one or two places he just says short form, but he writes the full mantra, which is emphasizing that how important it is.
He says Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And another important word which I always notice in this verse is that he uses the word dwell in the translation, and that's very, it gives you a different type of observation, is that one has to reside in that. In Hindi, that's what the word translated is. Basically, you have to live on the, so it's these two words always.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Some other reflections? Kamala Prabhu.
I'm just thinking about when you said in the class how, I think you said when you were describing this situation with the kids, and you gave them circle, magic circle, right? And then you said, you told them that for you as a teacher, as a Mr. W, right? The most important thing you hope they will take away from the school is the relationships they have with each other, to learn how to have nice, sweet relationships with others. So I was thinking about that. I remembered when I got married, and first time after 2 days after marriage, probably, I was first time in the kitchen with my wife when we were listening the class from her spiritual master Indra Swami. And Gurudev said in the class, the secret for successful relationship, any relationship, either between the friends, in marriage, between parents and the children, between us, the servants, and the Lord, any kind of relationship secret is to be giver rather than receiver. To give, to cultivate this mood of giving rather than taking. And I just remember that.
Thank you. Yes, that's very nice.
And I think it's, and when you cultivate this mood, it is so much sweeter. You have a relationship with others when you try to please other person rather than trying to be pleased.
Yes, thank you. Actually, this devotee who was presenting this hermeneutics class, he was taking actually Vada, this process of Vada. It's the best, especially when devotees, they talk sweetly, right? That's what they do. They're saying sweet things. They're giving, right? And they're not just saying sweet things, but they're meaning it. There's genuineness that's there also. Oh, Sahil Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. A very nice example of Sanatana Goswami you said about the stone. The stone, most important stone is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And even Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that Golokera Prema Ratana Harinam Sankirtan. This Mahamantra is not from this material world, this is from the spiritual world. And the way like fish stay happy in the water, we eat food for the soul, but this, like food for the body, but this soul needs to connect with the super soul. And how we connect? Using the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we are very fortunate to have this Mahamantra. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, bro. Nice addition. Oh, Hare Krishna.
To follow up from there, sometimes when we give, we want to give, but we also want to receive. But like my point is, if the receiver doesn't know where is the limit, then how far can you give and how long can you give?
I think the idea of giving, or the type of giving that you give, is by giving you receive, right? Because it's just that you're either helping somebody, or it's from compassion, or you're engaging in a conversation. Especially you say when you give, when devotees give, right? And there's exchanges that are happening. These are more intimate exchanges. There's 6 loving exchanges: giving gifts, accepting gifts, giving prasadam, accepting prasadam, inquiring, right? Revealing one's mind, those kind of things. So those are there. And my understanding is that there is that. It's not really giving when you accept, when you're expecting something in return, because it becomes a fruitive activity, right? So we're talking about in this verse that we should not try to enjoy the results, but we should enjoy offer the results to Krishna somehow. So,
but like
Kamala Prabhu will add to that.
I just wanted to say, I also think it depends on motivation, as you said, because if, for example, you hear from somebody, oh, if I give flower to the Lord, then I'll feel happy about that. So if you go to the temple and you give the flower to the Lord with the motivation, oh, I want to be happy, so I'm going to give the flower to the Lord, then it's really polluted motivation. But if you just go to the temple and you just want to make somebody, Lord, or your friends or family or whatever, whoever, Just you want to make them happy, without thinking what will you get. Results for you will come automatically. But your reason, what's your impetus, why you do something is to make somebody else happy, then you'll be happy automatically as a side effect. So I think it's...
Thank you. Maharaj was actually... Oh, Paramahansa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I think you have a point, Mother, about this giving. And the point is that we should be also careful to whom we want to give.
Yeah.
Because Rupa Goswami, he says that those 6 loving exchanges of giving gifts, accepting gifts, revealing mind, inquiring in confidence, and sharing prasadam, this should be done with the devotees, because devotee doesn't have the selfish motive. When devotee accepts something that you give, he doesn't accept it for himself to enjoy, but he's accepted on behalf of Krishna, and that acceptance is also giving, because he exchanges love. So that's giving. So it's much more valuable. But if we engage in this kind of activities with somebody who's very materialistic, that will bring us down. So that's why Lord Chaitanya said Asat Sangha Tyaga, which means reject association of those who are materialistic and, seek association of saintly persons. So that's all.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you. Oh, Vrindavan Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Right here.
I just want to make one point which struck my heart from your class when you said, your Guru Maharaj said,
It's because that's pretty close. Yeah.
when spend every moment in remembering Krishna rather than engage in the activities. Because I was hearing Guru Maharaj, and he always used to say the purpose of life is to awaken the love for Krishna. And when your goal is clear, when your purpose is clear, that this is my end goal of my life, you do any activities you want, but the end goal is clear. So you choose your activities, you choose everything to achieve that goal. So if your target, the end goal is clear, you can make every action in such a way that you can achieve that goal.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. So,
in fact, I was thinking of saying the same thing. It is not that why do we actually do anything for that matter? There must be reason. That's very nicely explained by Radha.
Thank you.
And also I want to add one more thing what he said, particularly in the family relationship or between close friends with whom not only give, we also be ready to forgive. Because if they don't do something, they forget to do something, even act of saying thanks, you accept it. You don't keep it don't keep anything which actually puts your consciousness down. I came across another saying also, give and give up the idea of giver. That you are the giver, give up that idea.
You're the getter by giving.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, thank you, devotees, very much. In the interest of pleasing our temple management, we're going to go into some kirtan now. We were talking about we should have more time for kirtan. There's kirtan, but there's such a lively discussion that was taking place. So thank you all for sharing. And now let's be here. And now we chant. We do that together. So hopefully you can all stay for that. Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Gaura Nitai ki. Jaya.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Prabhupada.